My left eye has always been a problem for me, ever since I was about 8 years old. Since my left eye was drooping, half of my vision was pretty much always cut out. The rest of it was blurred out by the tears that the left eye was naturally producing, because it was producing as much as the right eye, because it couldn't sense that it was smaller, like the eyelid was drooping. So I had as much tears as I needed in my right eye in my left, and since it was the smallest space, it really blurred my vision, and it was watery and a real nightmare to live with. Hence, for the last 10 to 11 years, I've been seeing through my right eye. Most of the time, only my right eye. I think I was a very confident child and overconfident most of the time. People who knew me as a boy would say I was cocky and arrogant, and rightly so, because, well, I was. I remember being the alpha male in primary school and having a group of friends who I still keep in touch with today, just following me around and copying the things I did. Pardon my ego here. They simply seemed to just want to be like me. I was like, you know, a decent footballer, had a couple of girlfriends. I was only 10, 11 at the time, so obviously nothing serious, but it truly made a difference in how I was as an individual and how I carried myself. I think my ego was boosted to a level where my droopy eyelid was the least of my concerns. And I never really paid attention to it or let it bother me that much. When I moved to Malaysia, however, my confidence and pride was taken down a notch. I was no longer the alpha male, as I was put into a class of much older people, and I think naturally, because of their size and toughness, they gained more respect. I really struggled to fit in, and I said and I did things that I do regret just to get a little bit of attention, but to no avail. I remember being bullied in the toilet by a couple of guys who ended up being my best mates later on. I think it was here that I looked into the mirror and thought, maybe it's because I'm ugly. I scrolled through some photos and it became more obvious to me than ever that my eye was the problem. That's when my insecurity just kept growing till I was about 14, 15 years old. When I hit 14 years of age, I managed to accept myself for who I was and realized that all I needed to do to gain respect was to accept others for who they were. And obviously, being humble helps. I think it's definitely true that people treat you the way you treat them. And most of the time, you know, you've got to give some to gain some. Perhaps maturity, both physically and mentally, played an instrumental role in shaping me as the young man I was. In spite of the regaining of confidence, I still felt uncomfortable with the way I looked from time to time, especially in front of people who had never seen me in real life before. I was comfortable around my friends and people who saw me on a daily basis, as they pretty much took me for who I was, and I did likewise. But when it came to individuals who I had to meet for the first time, they would ask me that one question that I just hate answering. What's wrong with your eye? Obviously, there were different variations to that question. Did someone punch you? Why is one side smaller than the other? And I would just shrug my shoulders, smile, and change the topic. On the football pitch, while I was playing for a football academy in Malaysia, I realized that the curse had its blessing. As a left winger, I used to idolize Ronaldo and watch his videos of him cutting inside and taking a shot with his right foot, and I used to practice that over and over again, and I scored a few goals like that, I think, in primary school. But when I moved to Malaysia, my left eye worsened and I had to sort of go down the left wing and shoot across with my left foot, and I think my left foot's ability really improved by leaps and bounds because of this. If I had cut inside, my left eye's vision would have been so blurred that I would rely on nothing but experience and instinct to get my shot on target. But if I went down the left wing, my right eye would be depended on, and since that's where the goal was, most of the time, 9 out of 10 times I say I would find the back of the net, in off the far right post. When I turned 15, I went to Canada and England for football trials with some football teams including West Ham United, AFC Bournemouth, Charlton Athletic and Toronto FC. It was during this period that I realized that my left eye was more than just a simple cosmetic problem. In Canada and England, their air is more dense and misty than the Asian countries, and this factor did not cooperate well with my left eye. It was often filled with tears, and I had to solely rely on my right eye to perform on the pitch. And as a footballer, I think your vision can really dictate how well you understand the game based on the perspective of the coaches and the scouts who are observing you as you play. I struggled tremendously as this was something that I was not used to at all. Having weaker vision on my left eye was something I could deal with, but having 90% of my vision almost completely blurred was more troublesome than you can imagine. When the sun went down, it was an even larger problem for me as the stadium lights would flare up in my left eye and completely compromise the remaining 5 to 10% of the vision that I had in my left eye. It was almost like opening your eyes underwater in a dirty swimming pool. I would lose the ball to tackles that came in from the left-hand side simply because I didn't see them there. I would not make passes to the left-hand side that would have almost guaranteed a goal, and I would struggle to put in a decent cross when the coaches instructed me to play on the right wing. Positively, I did impress a number of clubs and got offers, but with some immigration complications, it was simply not meant to be. As soon as I came back from England, I told my parents that, something has to be done because I can't see. This initiated the process of us going to the Singapore General Hospital. I was let down, however, by the doctor who said that I should wait until I was 18 before I do any form of surgery on my eye for the best possible results. Disappointed, I went home and stared at myself in the mirror for a few hours. All I could think about was what I was gonna do or where I was going to go from here. It was then that I realized something revolutionary. When I lifted my chin, my eyes would balance out and be more or less the same size. This had no football relevance, but it did help me with the insecurity aspect of things, and it certainly helped my confidence in public. From then, whenever you saw me, I would look almost exactly like Anthony Martial with a lifted chin. This was no permanent fix, so for the next 2 to 3 years, I had resorted to temporarily balancing my eyes. Still, people noticed the problem from time to time, and frustration grew, knowing that I couldn't do anything about it. In 2017, I began acting, and I did struggle from time to time trying to get the camera to be on my right-hand side, where my best angle of my face was, because it was where my right eye was, which was bigger and arguably more pleasing to look at. I did get several acting jobs, including Starbucks and KFC, but when I didn't, that was when I felt like my left eye was holding me back. I remember when I was auditioning and we had to do like photo shoots or something, and the lady or the guy behind the camera would be like, "Dilshan, put your chin down." And I would be in a dilemma, like, do I follow instruction or do I refuse and take a stand? Because I knew if I put my chin down, they would notice that my eyes don't balance. But if I left my chin up, they'll be like, this guy can't even follow simple instructions. Like, should we really cast him? But the fact that I still got casted in a number of commercials and stuff restored a little bit of belief in myself that I did have some talent in the form of acting. Despite the restored belief, I still felt like my left eye was holding me back and I needed to do something sooner rather than later in order to begin pursuing a new career. In mid-2017, I returned to the hospital and paid the doctor another visit as I was turning 18 that year. Little did I know that the doctor who spoke to us and gave us consultation that day would be the lady who would be operating on me on my actual surgery about 2 years later. My doctor wanted to observe my eye for about a year and a few months, and eventually, after years of disappointment, distress, insecurity, frustration, and lots of persuasion, I finally got a date. The 22nd of January 2019.
So guys, I'm back from the surgery, as you can probably tell by now, and I have to say I'm really happy that my eyes are, well, closer to the same size as each other. I think this one's a little bit bigger right now, but what you have to remember is that it's still swollen. I can still feel a little bit of weight on it. If I close my eye, you can see the markings that the surgeon used to orchestrate the perfect cut in my eye, and you can still see like a marking here on the top of my forehead. I'm really happy that it turned out pretty well and that nothing went wrong. Like, I wasn't hurt in the process. My eye didn't have a poor reaction to any of the medication that they provided me with or to the numbing injection and stuff like that. So the process went perfect. Like, it was exactly what I'd hoped for, and my surgeon is an amazing lady. I will introduce you to her. I think you will see her somewhere in this video. I'm sure you must have seen, or you will see, maybe tomorrow when I go back to her. I have to go back to her because I need to see if there are any adjustments to be done, if after the swelling reduces, if I need to maybe raise it a little more or slightly drop it a bit, because we want the results to be as perfect as possible. Obviously, it will be very, very hard for it to be perfect. So I'm not expecting perfect. I know perfect is a bit of a long shot, and all I want it to be is as close to each other for the best possible result. That's all I want, and that's all I can hope for. Other than that, I feel great. I'm happy that I did this, and I'm happy I went through the process, and I'm happy with the way things turned out. Things are as it is right now. Obviously, I need to go and get some rest because I can really feel some sort of weight and a bit of like stress in this eye. It's been through a lot today, and I'm gonna have to go and take a nap or something and have the medication that they provided me with and apply all the respective lotions and creams that they told me to apply, and hopefully it'll be perfect by tomorrow or by the day after. So I'll come back to you perhaps tomorrow when I meet my surgeon, my beautiful surgeon who managed to do this somehow. I'm happy, and I'll be right back.
I revisited the hospital the following day, and thankfully she said that adjustments were not required.
I have another follow-up with her in about 2 weeks. I think that's when she might remove the stitches. I'm not too sure, but you know, I feel great. My eye, I'm glad it's responding well. I don't feel much pain. It's a bit dry because it can't close all the way. So she gave me some eye drops for that. She gave me some cooling gel as well for my eye. So I think that's awesome. And yeah, I feel great. And I will get back to you in 2 weeks, I guess, when I go for the follow-up. So guys, I'm back from the appointment. Well, today was scheduled for my stitch removal, but unfortunately, when the doctor, the surgeon, the same lady who's been with me since the start, when she saw my stitches, she said that the wound wasn't properly healed yet. And if we removed it today, we bear the risk of tearing it open if I rub my eye by accident or something like that. So we're going back in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 5 days on Monday. Today's a Wednesday, so we're going back on Monday. And hopefully then I can finally end this entire journey, this entire process. I feel like, to be honest with you, I was a bit disappointed today because I was like, oh my god, this is it. We're ending it today. Like, I can finally start properly recording the documentary and editing it, putting the clips together and start, you know, compiling everything and, like, you know, get to work. But unfortunately, it was not to be. Obviously, I was also disappointed because, you know, I'm not done with the actual eye process yet. But what can you do? I guess safety precautions come first, as per usual, and you know, the doctor knows best. So if she deems me unfit for stitch removal, then I'm unfit for stitch removal. There's no two ways about it. Yeah, other than that, I walked through the door today thinking like, oh, this is gonna be the last time. You know, I walked up, I pressed the button on the elevator, I went in the elevator, I exited the elevator, I typed in my registration number, took my queue number, like, this is it, you know, the final time. I recorded everything, like, ooh, it's all ending today. But no, it was not meant to be. However, today was the day where I came up with the name of my documentary. Me, myself, and I. Me, myself, and I. Get it? Anyway, that's the title of my documentary and I came up with it today. Can't wait to remove the stitches. Other than that, I guess I'll see you on Monday. I'm done. I'm home. I'm finally home. And I'm done. I'm done with the process. As you can see, the stitches are removed. I mean, obviously I still have to go for a checkup in a month, but the stitches are removed. and process is pretty much over. Obviously, there's still a bit more care and maintenance to do, like the scarring cream to apply, and the just the washing of the eyelid and stuff like that. But well, the process is done, and I think I feel fantastic. I feel ready to explore some new challenges in my life with this newfound confidence within me.
Keep this really still. Make sure nothing goes in, okay? Alright, I'm just gonna draw an axe right here. And what I'm gonna do right now is just pinch the axe. I'm gonna sprinkle it in your hand. Open your hand. I'd like to thank my parents, especially my father, for accompanying me and paying for my surgery. He followed me for every single appointment, and although he never said it verbally, I could tell that he was supporting my decision. I would also like to thank my friends who had insulted me and given me the motivation and the strength to fight and grow as an individual. And of course, extra love to all those who had accepted me for who I was and supported me throughout the course of these last 5, 6, 7, 10, 11 years. I'd also like to thank my amazing doctor, Dr. Livia Teo, and Singapore General Hospital for its incredible care and service in taking care of my well-being, and also for allowing me to film this little documentary. I never wanted an excuse to be unsuccessful in whatever I set out to achieve. And now that I'll have no excuses once my eye heals, I'm more determined than ever to prove myself right. I think what I want people to take from this is that if something is bothering you and it seems like you can't do anything about it, never give up trying, and eventually you will be able to do something about it. No matter what people say, what people think, it's you who decides where you end up. And you should never let the words of others negatively affect who you truly are. If there is a will, there's always a way.